episodes, and it's just kind of here, familiarize yourself, here's what the show is like and about. And that was still in the time when Funimation, we really just had Dragon Ball and Case Closed and Kitty Grade. You know, and I think we did like, so it was still like, this isn't Dragon Ball, you should watch it, you know? Yeah.
There were only two, of all the shows that I've done, there are only two shows that I've seen any of before I recorded them. One was Full Metal, and that was only because after they cast it, I started getting like these letters from fans that were like, don't screw this up, dude. I'm not kidding. I've done like 30 or 40 shows at that point so far, and I've never gotten any kind of an email before I started recording a show saying, you better not screw this up. And I started getting kind of worried. I'm like, oh my gosh, this must be a bigger show than because I didn't know anything about it. So somebody sent me a whole bunch of episodes, and I watched up to like 48 and stopped. And I was so, I mean, Romy, who did Ed, was amazing. The show in Japanese is brilliant. I mean, the performances are amazing. And I started getting scared. I was like, I can't do that. Like her. I'm a girl. and you know, and so there was that show. And then the other one was Aura. Somebody gave me a disc of like the first 6 or 7 episodes. And this was before it was even licensed. So there was no clue that Funimation would get it, that I would even get the chance to be a part of it. And I committed the cardinal sin, you guys. I fell in love with a character in a show that was not licensed. So there, you know, I wanted to play Tamaki, and there was no way to know that I ever would get the chance. Because I loved the show, and it was the only one of the only 2 that I'd ever seen ahead of time. So usually we don't see them. We see them when we record, and we get a sense of the scene and the mood and the emotion, and then we go. But we don't watch like series before we record them.
But Colleen, like she mentioned, she's a producer, so she watches everything. And then as a director, once I hear from my producer what shows Funimation has acquired, what shows he may be acquiring as a producer, then I can, if we have the materials, go request, can I take a look at that? Because I'm wondering, is that something I'd be interested in directing? So I can just, we don't have to campaign anymore. It used to be very much like, what do we have? And we'd be rushing to get to Justin's office and be like, I like this show, please give it to me. It's not
a lot more fair about people.
Now it's like, these shows are for you, these shows are for you, and it's up to the producers to pass them out to us. But I'm pretty picky, or particular, that's a nicer word. So be like, I don't want the nudie bloody show. Can I please have the magic girl show instead? So I need to know these things. But this side now. This side now. We just did that guy over there, so this side. Who has not asked a question? Yes, ma'am.
Considering the popularity of Orange Coast Club, do you think you'll ever do the game that came out in Japan and bring it to America?
There's a game. I get asked this question a lot by email and on my website and things. It really isn't up to Funimation. Funimation doesn't do the games. Like, you'd see our name on a game that's related to one of our shows because the show belongs to us, but another game dubbing company would have to be interested in producing that. So it really isn't our decision. And then should they acquire it, then they could contact us and be like, we would like to use your actors. Honestly, as much fun as it would be, what does that sound? It's like the
yeah, it's like we're on the bridge of the Enterprise. That droning.
Weird. Must be. Oh, I do. I hear it.
It's the work generator.
But I don't see a game like that, to be honest, selling well. So any entrepreneur or business person they're only going to do it, especially in this economy, if it's going to make them money. So while there are tons of Oron fans, and for a shoujo show, it is selling so well, and I'm so pleased. But I don't really think that the game would get me tier.
I mean, the most recent Full Metal game didn't even get made because the sales of the games were not that great. The first 2 were not all that awesome, and so they're like, you know, we really can't justify making, what was it, Dream Carnival was the 3rd one? I don't remember, but the 3rd one, they couldn't do it. So just because the show is really popular doesn't always mean the games are going to sell well. Question, let's see, where did you pick from last over here? Yes, right here.
lose our voice.
You don't keep from losing it. Yeah, it'll take its toll on you.
It just totally depends on the character. Drink a lot of water. All of us drink a lot of water, always. Drink tea when it's really hurting. Because Luffy is the most difficult role I've ever done, and are 3 or 4 hours every day. So rather than kicking it all out in 2 days in a week, I am up at Funimation 3 hours every single day. With Luffy, I do.
Have you felt that you've built up a strength from doing it?
I expected to, but I kind of feel like because there's a weekend or a week when I don't have any recording for Luffy, I come back fresh. You know, if it was really 3 hours every day, I might get used to it. But I'm more used to it now than I was when I started. But it still hurts, and I still know that my voice is lower now than it was when I started him, and that it will be lower still when I get done with him. So it was a conscious decision on my part to say, I will take this work, and I will accept what happens to my voice.
But it's possible also that once he's overdone with whatever that is, because it's still going on in Japan, have noticed that my regular everyday speaking voice is very much a reflection of whatever role is taking up the majority of my time. Yeah. So for about 6 or 8 months of my life, I talk lower down here like Haruhi all the time. It just happens. Yeah. And so maybe once you're wrapped up in like higher voice,
it's helping my commercial work. I mean, I flew Luffy for 3 hours, and then if I go and do commercial work after, I am very clean and I can speak very low. So it's helping me sell things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a necessary hazard of the job. And some characters don't do any of that kind of stuff. You know, Fi in Tsubasa was just very light and friendly all the time. And you know, you could do that for all day long.
Yeah.
And you know, at ADV, when I started working at ADV 10 plus years ago, they would record more than 3 hours at a time. The director's consensus was after about 3 hours, your voice is kind of tired. Well, when we started going up to Dallas and working, and people would come down and work, because you're from out of town, you need to make the most of your time. So when we were doing Full Metal, and then even subsequent shows, people like Greg and Lucy and me and people that go up there to record, we'd record 7, 8 hours a day, 10 hours.
10 hours, yeah.
And so, you know, the amount of time that you recorded had to change because of how much you needed to get accomplished while the actor was available.
So yeah, tired voices.
It definitely happens, and we have to be more conscientious about it than I'd say your average person, because while I'm cast in a role, and the role is mine for as long as the show is going on, unless I'm really terrible at it, it doesn't mean that you can go like, well, if I get sick, it's no big deal. They're gonna have to record me eventually. But it's just, things can snowball around there. Like I don't want to get sick, not just for my sake, but because I know how it will affect that show. I know being a director, what it's like when an actor who's booked for 5 or 6 hours cancels because they're sick or something. Who knows when we're going to get them back in, and now my contract's late. And then I hate it when people come to work sick, though, because if they get anyone else sick, we're in close proximity with each other. It's a large
into a microphone that you share.
It's a large building, but we share mics with people. We touch the same keyboards as people. So if I get sick, I can endanger everybody and throw off everyone's schedule. So there's a lot more of taking emergency and vitamins all the time, and Zycam is your friend, and sleep, and hydrate. And, yeah, a lot.
Don't go to smoky bars. Don't drink
have
the day before.
The next day. Yeah.
Wear those cool surgical masks.
All the time.
Yeah. You know, when we were doing Full Metal,